Matt Holland. Good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. Very well indeed. Thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, we're all a little bit. We started the show very bullish about our chances, and then Owen got into some detail there about just how good the Serbian team are, and all of a sudden we're a bit nervous again. So I don't know how you're feeling.
Blimey, heart or head? That's the question. Heart tells me we might get a result, and a draw would be a good result. Your head tells you different because of the circumstances that we find ourselves in, and as you say, Serbia in a totally different place, new manager. A squad full of players playing at a high level, a squad full of goals as well, which is something that we don't have. So your heart tells you might get a result. The head tells you perhaps the odds are against us.
That Shane Duffy question has been a question that we keep coming back to, Matt, and the importance of club form when it comes to international duty. And I was looking back at various games you would have played in, and not to go back to the single point where we beat the Netherlands that time, but Jason McAteer played in that game despite not really playing well at club level at all, but he had the support and the faith of his manager, and obviously that worked out. So there have been numerous occasions in Irish football history where somebody is having a torrid time at club level and they come in and they produce 90 minutes and everybody goes, that's the point of international football.
Yeah, I mean, I personally would play him. I think for his experience and his threat from set pieces as well, which I think might be important for us. Absolutely right. I mean, there's lots of players that have had poor form at club level and then come away, and actually it's a welcome relief to get away from your club where you're having a tough time. Things aren't going particularly well. You're not playing very well. And you come to a fresh environment where you feel wanted, you feel loved. You feel as though you're a real part of it, which is not necessarily been the case at your club. So actually sometimes as a player to get away from that negativity of being around your club and things not going your way, to then go to the international setup where, like for Jason, for instance, Jason always had the backing of the manager. Mick always put his arm around him and he made Jason feel loved. And I think, Shane feels the same when he comes away with our boys. And, even listening to Seamus Coleman yesterday talking about him and how much the players respect him. And I personally think he should play. I mean, I've been an advocate of playing three at the back and it'd be interesting to see whether we do that tonight or not. I think the likelihood is we won't, but I think he certainly gets in a back three, no problem.
That's interesting, Matt. That's really interesting that you think it's three at the back is the way forward, because Ger was making that point earlier on in the show as well. The likelihood, though, as you mentioned there, Stephen Kenny, doing that is quite slim. But if you look at the potential positives, is there a sense as well that maybe with midfield options being a little bit slimmer, maybe that plays into the fact that actually if you play three at the back, you're just, I guess, spreading out your quality players in a more effective way? Like you pointed to Conor Hourihane injury as one thing that can surely have a detrimental impact on three in midfield. So I wonder, could that come into the thinking tonight?
Yeah, I think, look, what we have to be is resolute defensively. I think we have to be tough to beat. And when you play a back three, I think that gives you a bit of security at the back. But we've also got to carry a goal threat. And, that's something that we haven't done for quite some time. So I like the fact that if you play three at the back, you can get two up top. You could play, Callum Robinson and Aaron Connolly up top, no problem at all. I like the fact that it gets Matt Doherty in his best position as a right wing back and the positions that he gets himself into when he plays in that role. I think he's much better going forward than he is defensively, and we saw that at Wolves so often. When he's been asked to play in a back four at Tottenham, he's not been quite as effective. He's not sure when to go forward. He's not sure when to defend. Whereas in a back three, he knows that role inside out, and he offers you a goal threat as well. He gets himself into attacking positions. You can play two holding midfield players and a number 10 in that position as well. So I think in that system, I think we are more resolute defensively and also carrying more of a goal threat as well. The problem is that Stephen hasn't necessarily had the chance to work on it. He's not had the time on the training grounds. It's not something that we've done previously. He's done previously. And in previous camps, we've had so many problems with injuries and COVID and all, it's well documented, the problems that he's had since he's taken over. So he's not had time on the training ground to work necessarily on that system. But I look at the players, and at club level, they suit that system. A lot of them, they play in that system in their clubs as well. So I personally think it's the way forward. But as you say, not had time on the training ground to work on it too much, the likelihood is he'll stick with the back four.
Just on the Matt Doherty point, So if there is a situation where Kenny plays a 4-3-3, chances are it might actually look more like a 4-2-3-1 if Serbia have more possession than maybe Luxembourg will at the weekend. On the right of that three, Matt Doherty essentially is a right winger. Is that an effective position for him? Is he too far ahead of play at that point sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, difficult. His best position is a wing back. That's quite clear. I know we've played Seamus at right back and Matt sort of a little bit further up previously. I think he can do it. I don't think he's as effective. I think when he comes from a little bit deeper and he can see the play ahead of him and how it's developing and when to make those runs, I think it's better for him. They could do it. I think you can get both of them in the team anyway by playing the back three, because I'd play Seamus in the back three anyway. So he's done it at Everton, and he's been doing it at Everton where I always think that when you play a back three as well, it's important that the two either side of the central defender are comfortable going into wide positions and defending 1v1, and Seamus can do that as well. So I think that's probably the best system to get them both into the side.
And would it be, in the hypothetical of the three at the back, would it be Duffy in the middle and Clark on the left of that three, and then Enda Stevens at left wing back?
I think that makes sense. Yeah, I think, obviously Kieran's gone back into the team at Newcastle, and I personally think that's probably the best three right now. And as you say, Matt on the right and Enda on the left.
Who's your midfield tonight, Matt, if you're picking the team, assuming that the Serbia are going to start with a lot of really technically gifted players in advanced positions? So two really good quality number 10s in the pitch for them. Yeah,
I mean, again, it's really difficult because do you go with experience or do you go with the energy and the youthfulness and the exuberance of some of the players like a Jason Knight, for instance? I think Jason Knight probably plays. I think he's been really good this season. And then he's got decisions to make. Does he go with Josh Cullen, who's been in good form as well at club level? Jeff Hendrick. I mean, when I said about playing at number 10, I think Alan Brown comes into that little bit of attacking threat from midfield as well. But I mean, the likelihood is it's going to be a 4-3-3, which I think it'd be two holding midfield players and one slightly ahead maybe. Jason Knight, I think, and Josh Cullen, form-wise, probably deserve to start. But again, it's whether he goes with experience or not. I mean, I was at Brighton at the weekend, and Jeff came on in the game and didn't necessarily influence the match as much as he'd like to have done. He's struggling for form a little bit. But I like him. I like Jeff a lot. But at the moment, form-wise, you'd probably say he doesn't get into the three. Difficult call for Stephen, that.
Matt, do we just need to, at this point, recalibrate our expectations when it comes to the national team?
What'd you say? I missed that, sorry.
Do we just need to recalibrate our expectations? Like, we don't have enough players who are at the top level playing well at the moment.
Well, look, if you were a manager and you said you can pick one of the squads, Serbia or Ireland, and you had a free reign at picking the players from either squad, you'd probably pick Serbia. You're going to look at them and go, well, yeah, man for man, they're a better squad than us. But that's not always necessarily been the case in the past. We've managed to upset the odds previously. Ultimately, this is about finishing second in the group, I think. I mean, look, Portugal, we imagine will win the group, and then it's who comes second. So this game tonight is the most vital one in the campaign. Get off to a good start away from home at the team that we're fighting for second place with as well. I wouldn't necessarily give it up. I think, the spirit has always been there and will always be there. But it is, if you were a manager, you'd probably pick the Serbia squad over ours at the moment.
The best hope we have is that a few of our players develop into much better players over the next couple of years. Some of the young lads like Aaron Connolly comes on and makes a giant leap. Like, we talked about Jason Knight. There's a possibility that he is a genuinely international class player. And this is very early on in their careers at international level. But it's nights like tonight is the opportunity for them to make that quantum leap.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have to have an element of patience, don't we? When there's players who are sort of just coming into the fray, very young players, as you quite rightly say, and there's a lot of development still to be done with those players. Stephen's a very good coach and will recognise that, he can improve those players and make them better, albeit he doesn't get loads of time on the training ground with them. And so there has to be an element of patience, but we also, we have to win games now as well for the confidence of the squad and for the feeling around the place. We have to start getting results as well. So it's that balance. Yes, you want to bring young players on, you want to give them the chance, and you want to hope that at some point they are going to, make themselves into top class international players. But I think at the same time, we've got to get results now as well, and hope that some of them can turn in the performances that can do that for us.
A lot of the questions coming in on our comments, Matt, are around the scoring goals and just our inability to score goals so far. As a team, I don't know if you've ever had any experience of the entire group being in a bit of a rut, but what can you do to interrupt that pattern?
Well, I mean, I think you have to be positive in your passing and your decision making, and also I think you have to get people who are willing to get themselves into areas where they can score a goal. I think when confidence is low and results haven't been going your way, you can often be safe in the way you pass the ball. You can be safe in the decisions that you make. You don't want to be the one that makes a mistake that costs you the game. When things are going well, it's instinctive. You don't think about things. You play the ball around the corner into your front man. You make a run beyond him. You know he's going to get a hold of it, and you trust the players that you're playing with. At the moment, we don't necessarily have that confidence, but I think you have to then sort of lift yourself above that and say, do you know what? I'm going to be the person that takes us on and shows the way forward for the rest. And yes, so I think that there has to be an element of positivity about us. As I said earlier, the shape, I think, of the team can dictate how you attack and how you defend. And that's why playing a back three gets you two up top and it also gets your wing backs into forward positions as well. So I think the shape of the team, but also I think, like I say, that the positivity of the individual. I think, someone has to take it by the scruff of the neck. Someone has to be that person that says, I'm going to be the one that sort of rises above it and is positive with their passing, because when things are tough, you tend to take the easy option.
If it comes to it then tonight, there's one opportunity for Ireland, a la maybe Howard against Slovakia. Who is the number 9 you want on the end of it, Matt? Who is the guy that you can maybe say he will be the person to get Ireland out of this rut?
Blimey. My hope is that Aaron Connolly, comes good. I mean, fitness-wise, obviously, we're still a little bit unsure of where he's at, really. I mean, Shane Long's done it in the past. He's not a prolific goal scorer. Maybe he's, someone at the... I always think Shane's better when he's instinctive as well, and doesn't have time necessarily to think about things when he's playing, an instinctive style. I like Troy Parrott. I mean, I've seen a bit of him at Ipswich, and he's a really good footballer and a composed footballer as well. I mean, Callum Robinson hasn't played a lot of football, but you just hope that one of those gets into a position and he's ice cold and can take it for us.
You've probably seen more of Troy Parrott recently than most Irish fans, to be honest. How ready is he to make an impact at some point during this international break, even if not tonight?
Well, I know that the club Ipswich are very pleased with the way he's done and the progress he's made. He's actually probably played a slightly deeper role, like as a number 10 really than as an out-and-out centre forward. But his all-round game, I think, has impressed everybody. His movement and the positions he gets himself into. I remember sort of Harry Kane going out on loan to places, and he went to Orient, and people weren't really sure. They thought, yeah, he's all right. He's not, he's okay. He's not ripping it up at this level. Troy, I think, has got the ability to play at a high level, and technically, I think he's a very good player. But and as I say, people at Ipswich have been very impressed with his development. So hopefully, he's a player that will come good for us.
Yeah, plenty of comments in this morning about Troy Parrott, actually. Jamie Daly said, personally, I feel Troy Parrott is the best number 9 and he should start. Why hasn't anyone mentioned his name? Well, Matt Holland is certainly mentioning his name this morning. Kieran says, Parrott has scored 1 goal in about 25 loan games with Ipswich and Millwall. He may come good yet, but nowhere near starting for Ireland yet, I hope. It's probably going to take a strange occurrence at some point over these next few games for Ireland to start scoring again. Maybe it is just that piece of luck. Maybe it is a kid like Parrott, maybe even in the Luxembourg game or whatever, who comes in and takes their opportunity, that whatever way we predict this at the moment, we might not actually see what's coming when it comes to actually scoring a goal.
Yeah, I mean, look, in the past we've had unlikely heroes and you know, people who've popped up with goals when we've needed them. So absolutely, it could be someone out the blue, someone that we're not even expecting, maybe even to start the game. It might be someone off the bench that comes on and is the hero. You know, and it's a great opportunity for these players to make themselves that as well if they do get the chance. So yeah, I don't care who it is. I don't care, you know, any one of the 20 odd players in the squad. If someone could be a hero, that'd be delightful.
How important is it to have Seamus Coleman back tonight? Like, just in terms of if they're trailing going into the final 10 minutes, that heads won't drop. He certainly strikes me as the type of fella that can only have a positive impact no matter what the scenario presents tonight. Yeah,
he's a great character, isn't he? And you know, you're not picking him for his character, you're picking him for his form as well and his ability. Mm-hmm. You know, I think he's been in great form this season and played some really good football. But the bonus is that he is a good talker, a good organiser, a good leader. Great to have on your side. You can see in his press conferences how he backs the players and backs his teammates. And he's such a positive character. So whilst that's all important and his experience is going to be vital tonight, he's also playing pretty well as well. So it's great that, you know, he's one of the players that is in good club form and ready to step up and do the job tonight.
Yeah, he certainly is. Is there a prediction that you've got at the tip of your tongue, Matt?
Well, goals is we're struggling for goals, aren't we? We know that. Listen, I'll take a 0-0 right now. if we got a 0-0, I'd take it right now. I think that it's going to be tough for us. Absolutely, it's going to be tough for us. As I said, my heart says a draw. My head says we might be on the end of a narrow defeat.
Right, 1-0 Serbia is kind of where you're leaning.
I'm going to go 0-0.